Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you guys are having a good day. Just watched a couple of movies I want to talk about, and let me look this up. I just got done looking up the real history of Sound of Music. If you guys have seen the Sound of Music, the Sound of Music is 19 movie made in 1965. It was right after Julie Andrews made Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a great movie. I love that movie. To me, in my way of thinking, she is the ultimate empress. If you look at the empress card in the tarot deck, she is the empress. Um, but that movie is based on a true story where the Von Trapp family left Germany, and I'm looking up just one detail here. Remember? Oh wow. Okay, so it's just one thing I didn't know. Um, the in the movie, at the end of The Sound of Music, if you're not familiar with the movie, I'll just kind of go over basically what it is. It's just about a Julie Andrews, who plays a nun named Maria, who um, is sent out to become a governess for a captain in the Australian military because his wife died and he's got 7 kids. And in the movie, she's sent there to be governess, and they'd already been going through governesses, and the kids are driving all the governesses away because they're trying to get their dad's attention. And they admit all this to Marie when she gets there, but it's just a love story about how she falls in love with the captain, or George Von Trapp. I don't even know if they say his name George in the movie, but that was his name in real life. And it's based on a true story of when, just before Germany took over Austria, there was a Von Trapp family that got out of Germany. And the true story is they were lucky enough to have dual citizenship. George Von Trapp had an Italian citizenship. And so in real life, they actually escaped their house and went into took a train to Italy, and then they went across Europe and moved into the United States, and ended up settling in Vermont. Was something that I had no idea of until I looked it up recently after I just watched the movie, because I was always curious. It seemed like it was based on a true story. And of course, the movie's embellished. There was no, um, the way that the movie sets out wasn't the true story. But Maria was a nun who had a really tough childhood, and she did go through emotional outbursts that admittedly Bob had to kind of, the family tried to kind of calm her down from. And they did leave Germany, or they did leave Austria, and they ended up having 3 more children from Maria. But a tragic ending to this story, and something that didn't surprise me when I looked it up, was that they were penniless. The Von Trapp family in real life, they had already gone bankrupt in the mid-30s, and they didn't leave until 38 when Germany moved into Austria. But so they had a family mansion, but they were renting rooms out to priests and other people in the community just to stay afloat, and they were singers, so they were trying to make as much money off singing as they could. And after they left and went to the States, and this is interesting, in the 50s, desperate for funds, Maria sold the rights to her memoir, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers, to a German film producer for a flat sum of roughly $9,000 in Germany. I mean, in the 1950s. Because she surrendered the rights, the family made almost no royalties from the massive success of the Broadway musical or the 1965 Hollywood movie, The Sound of Music. Don't ever sell the rights to your life. Nobody owns your life. Don't ever sell your story to anybody. It's yours. And that's one of the main purposes of this video. There's always somebody that wants to take something that's yours and make it theirs and then profit from it. Revelation has a lot to say about this, and actually I looked it up because I thought about this right after that. The book of Revelation, uh, merchants of the earth in Revelation chapter 18. This is all in chapter 18. Revelation 18:3 and 18:11 detail the merchants of the earth became immensely wealthy by trading in the luxuries, culture, and power of the system. They didn't care about the truth or human stories behind what they sold, only about maintaining the pipeline for profit. In Revelation 18:12-13, the text provides a famous, chilling catalog of everything the system buys and sells: gold, silver, fine linen, music, wine, and climaxes the list with slaves and human souls. It explicitly calls out a system that reduces human beings, their lived experiences, and their labor into mere tradable commodities. When we turn the time and our time spent together and the time that we put in together it represents our love for one another. And if we trade it like commodities and don't value the time, if you value the commodity and not the time, you lose your soul. Period. It's really tough to sell something in today's world, you knowing that, because and this is something that I've struggled with my entire life, and I've understood this for a long time, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else or anything like that. It's just something that seems so obvious on the surface, where everybody is essentially the same, but all different based on a long series of events farther than you can possibly think of or imagine. And then coming from higher dimensions to relive those experiences, because you're always popping in and out vibrationally from a lower vibration but to a higher vibration. It's moving more information and energy. People don't talk about the side effects of higher vibration versus lower vibration. Lower vibration is just literally a lower of number of bits per second, right? That's what a lower frequency is. A higher frequency is a higher number of bits per second. So you're actually moving more information and energy per unit of time relative to your environment. If you're higher vibrational versus your environment, right, you're adding information. If you're lower vibration on average than your environment, you're receiving more information than average. And getting closer to source enables you to input more information on average. My own personal struggles fall into just not, if you unconditional love is the most highest vibrational energy, because it allows you to access all of it if you're not in judgment of any part of it. But when you see a world that doesn't love itself, and I've looked in the mirror and realized that it's like, why am I here? I must not love myself. Why would I put myself here? Right? And that's something that I struggle with for my entire life. I'm just curious. Do any of you feel that way? And then you make decisions, and then when those decisions don't pan out, or the people want to move away from you, even though you can't be with them all the time, or you can't, but then they actively just say, sayonara, or for other reasons, or it feels like you're being used for your time just to please them, and there's no mutual building something together, sharing your time together and building something together and experiencing it together, then the world seems like a really dark, lonely place. And that's the world we're creating when we sell stuff for our own personal gain, not worrying about what's going on out there, and live a life of, maybe a family, but then the family becomes an extended family, and then pretty soon you grow older, and you all you see is your grandkids a few times a year, and then you die. Why would anybody want to come visit here unless you had the capability of changing it? Because it's all unconscious. When we look at the world around us, the whole room behind me, all the paneled sheetrock and the dresser and the dream catcher and my stuff hanging on the wall back there. It's just relative to me, it's unconscious. Now, at some level, it's hyperconscious, right? At the center of everything is unity. But not until you get closer to the heart. And relative to what it looks like to me right now is I don't want to spend the rest of my life talking to a microphone. So my personal ambitions have always been trying to move towards group development. But then you have to, in order for a group to want to work with you, you have to just do what you're asked. You can't try to fight for control because nobody wants to be in the room with the person that's trying to control what's going on in the room. Right? Probably one of the most, and this is why so many, spiritual leaders they just fall into healing modalities. When I love my dad and Don, who's living with us now for a short time. But man, they are the toughest people to watch movies. You sit down with them and they'll try to grab parts of the movie and then they'll start talking about that, and neither one of them are listening to each other, and they're not really paying attention to what's going on in the movie, and so they'll always start talking when critical information. If you're trying to gather everything that you're watching, you really just. And the hardest part is when you answer them and try to connect with them, even about what they're talking about, they struggle there. And it's not of any fault of their own. There's a long history of, we all chose to, and, to be in this form for specific reasons. And I guess I would just like to thank all of you who understand this and do your best to try and help and love the people around you more than anything in the world. So I know my message here kind of went through its own little journey, but it's all a part of it, one big universe. We're creating worlds within worlds, and there's always an opportunity to share the same world, and a world that we all want, instead of being forced to live in some other fabrication of some other children's idea of a good idea. If we ever try to own all of it, we're all one, and if we ever try to own more than our fair share, or I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, love you guys. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's just, what was on my mind today. Love you. Have a good day.